it's huge because at the end of the day, you live to see another day. You know what I mean? Like your hopes of a college football playoff berth is still there. Your hopes of getting to Indianapolis is still there. Like all those things are still there and in front of you. And this was a big hurdle. Like I don't want to minimize it because Penn State was, I think, 6-3. Like I want to make sure that I don't minimize that because you and I have been very critical of Michigan, of what they have done. And let's keep it to this season, but just, you know, like, hey, man, the big games haven't quite been there as far as, you know, the ranked opponents and whatnot. So I'm going to continue to harp on the fact that this was a really big win. And at the end of the day, you get these things done. You know what I mean? Like you when you're playing a tough opponent and when you're playing on the road, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Like now, great, when you look at another team like a Cincinnati, right, who's playing, and I don't even know who they played last night, but they were in a dogfight late in the fourth. That's very different, right? That's very different. That's a number 5 team, I think, or 5 or 6 team in the CFP playing a team with a losing record. So you should blow that team. That needs to be a absolute blowout. But when you're playing a ranked team on the road, you want to get out of there with a win, no matter how it looks. If it's ugly, if it looks good, it really doesn't matter. The goal is to get it done, and that's what Michigan did. Like, so I want to continue to harp on it because that's a big deal. That is a very big deal. And you and I talked about it. We spoke on the phone yesterday to where, you know, we kind of talked about it. Just are things breaking to the point where it's kind of opening up another window for Michigan, right? Because we looked at it when it came to the Michigan State game. You lose that game, so it makes things difficult for you. But then Michigan State, literally the week after they play you, lose to Purdue, and now things are just literally wide open now to where, you know, you possibly get that ability to, if you win out, you know what I mean? Like, who knows what happens? Who knows?
Yeah. Especially, you know, Oklahoma going down to Baylor today. You know, those one of those sneaky teams that right now is still behind Michigan and CFP. But
that offensive genius, man. Oh man, it's
you and your Lincoln Riley hate, man. No, I mean, you know, that was a team that even though they were currently ranked behind Michigan, they could have been, if they would have won out. You know, the committee could have. And Michigan, I say if Michigan, you know, worst case scenario, would have stayed somehow. Wins out the rest of the season. They beat Ohio State. They beat Penn State, right? And Michigan State would have went to the Big Ten title game. Michigan would not have, even if they still won off themselves. But even if that case played out, case scenario played out, with Oklahoma going down today, that opens up another door for Michigan to still get into the CFP, even if they aren't able to make the Big Ten title game. So it's just another avenue that helps Michigan. So
if I had to put a fork to your nose right now and say you got to call it, is Michigan State going to win out? Yes or no?
No. You can't fake that kind of. Their deficiencies on their defense, especially in their secondary. You can't fake that, especially this part in the season. And this team that's playing on ABC right now, who we hate in Ohio State. You will not keep them down with that kind of secondary, that kind of pass defense. You know, Ryan Day should eat the MSU defense alive. He should. Now, vice versa, Kareem Walker should go off against Ohio State because Ohio State has this season struggled with the running game. So it'll be an interesting matchup when those teams do meet. But I just don't see them beating Ohio State. Even though Ohio State's at MSU, I just don't see it. I don't see it.
So if you're saying Michigan State will not win out, then that means Michigan just needs to win out, and they're going
the Big Ten title. Yep. Everything, like, that's why today was just huge. That's why, you know, all their goals are in front of them, and this thing is playing out where as long as Michigan takes care of their business, they should be in Indy. But that's a big. You got to also take care next week too. You know, don't do what Ohio State almost did a few years ago and sleep on Maryland. And, you know, because you're excited about the big matchup versus Ohio State, and then you drop a game you shouldn't drop, right? So, Today
I think as far as focus, this might be the most important.
Right.
This might be the most important week for Michigan football.
Yeah.
Because if you in at the end of the day, the thing that I think about is the way you look today to me doesn't matter, right? The goal is to next week on Saturday look a little better than that, and then the next week Saturday look a little better than that. Like that's just the goal. Like you know what I mean? Like you don't play Ohio State today, you don't play Ohio State next week, and you know, and until you have to line up against them, like you don't have to be better than them until then.
Yep.
So you've got to focus and get to that point. I think, to me, this was such a telling game because, number one, you get over that hurdle of just this team. I mean, let's take it back to last year. Granted, I know it was COVID and things were not normal, but Penn State was winless before they played Michigan. Right. And Penn State got the win. That was literally their first win of the season. Last year was against Michigan. So there's plenty of guys on this team that were there last year that had to live with that, like an 0 whatever team. I think they might have been 0-2, 0-3, whatever.
0-4.
0-4 team coming to play you and you lost. Like, so there's a lot of guys that are on that team that had to live with that. And then also with the coaching staff, mainly Jim Harbaugh, you had to live with that James Franklin brought a 0-4 team to the big house and won. Like, so, you know what I mean? Like, you've got that aspect of it too. And I think and maybe I'm crazy, but it could be a breakthrough when it comes to the Cade development, because I don't think it'd be understated to say that we haven't done a great job of developing Cade McNamara, you know, and in part with this JJ subbing and package and all that stuff. So, you know, maybe this is the breakthrough or the turning point of the offense to where it says, okay, listen, you know, we're not going to put all of this on Cade, but we know that when we go to him, like he can come through for us. Like, so I don't know. I have no idea. Like, right. We could be saying all this and then next week could potentially lose to Maryland and all this is out the window. But at the same time too, it could be the turning point. You know what I mean? Like, it's college football. Like, it's crazy. That's kind of how it happens.